Don't Look Now, by Mary Burton. Performed by Hilary Huber, Alan Carlson, Zara Eden, Heather Firth, Kurt Graves, and Joyce Oben.
The call from dispatch was a jolt to homicide detective Jordan Poe's system. After a 15-hour shift, she had arrived home, eaten a quick dinner, and settled on the couch to watch a movie. She had immediately fallen asleep. Now, as she bolted up to the shrill ring, she shook off the sleep and reached for her phone. Detective Poe. Detective, a woman's body has been found in southeast Austin. Dispatch rattled off familiar cross streets and an address less than 10 blocks from her house. Tell me. Jordan cleared her throat as she moved toward the kitchen through her darkened house, illuminated by only the television screen's light. She listened patiently as the dispatcher told her about the discovery of a woman's body. No details about manner of death, but the body was in an advanced state of decomposition. Translation: the smell would saturate anything porous that came within 15 feet. Full PPE was suggested. She made a strong pot of coffee, and as it brewed, she brushed her hair, refashioned it into a bun, and splashed water on her face. 10 minutes later, coffee in hand, she pushed out of her front door, wearing yesterday's clothes. She slid behind the wheel of her SUV, parked in a small gravel driveway by her bungalow. She had inherited the one-story, 1,500-square-foot house from her mother 12 years ago, and she had spent a lot of that time renovating it. Many of the homes on her block still had their original owners and had not been updated, but the rush of newcomers to Texas had discovered the East Austin neighborhood with wooded lots, and it was a matter of time before the elderly residents sold. When she arrived on the scene 10 minutes later, she had drained her coffee and convinced herself she was not exhausted. The one-level ranch was painted a mint green. It was surrounded by a chain-link fence encircling a yard filled with tall weeds. Across the street was a heavily wooded empty lot that had turned into a dumping ground filled with discarded tires, an old stove, and piles of brush. 4 cop cars were parked along the house's curb, their blue lights flashing in the darkness. A forensic van was parked in the short driveway, and 2 techs were setting up a tent and table. Normally, the techs used tents to shield them from the hot Texas sun, and seeing as the sun had 9 more hours before showtime, the setup told her they expected to be here well into tomorrow. Before her mom, little sister, and she had moved to Austin, they had lived in Boston. She remembered the snow had come up to her waist on her 16th birthday, and the January air was so cold the wind chill drove the temperatures below freezing. That was the day her mother had mumbled something about being done with it, and the 3 of them had packed the family's blue Subaru and driven to Austin. The day's growing heat brought her back to the moment. She noticed there were still no reporters on the scene yet, and she was relieved. Crime in this area was standard, but sooner or later the press would catch on, and this would all get more chaotic. She rose up out of her vehicle, grateful to stretch her long, stiff legs. She was craving a good workout, but that was going to have to wait. Jordan's low-heeled boots, dusted with dirt from yesterday's crime scene, crunched against the freshly graveled street as she moved toward the back of her SUV and opened the hatch. Shrugging off her jean jacket, she tugged on the lightweight PPE suit over a black t-shirt and worn jeans banded by a leather belt. Next, it was shoe coverings and latex gloves. She looked up at the ramshackle ranch. A sign in the front window indicated it was marked for remodeling by a developer who had done dozens of projects in the area over the last year. No doubt the landowner hoped to sell the property to a newly relocated young professional willing to pay a premium.